Hello everyone, welcome to Uni Voyage. I'm Vedika Manik and today we have a very special guest with us. We've Gokul Krishna with us and he has a wonderful belt of achievements. Firstly, he's my fellow batchmate in IPM IIM Indore, first year. And he's from the Commerce with Math background. He secured 94.6% in his 12th board exam and he has a wonderful, list of universities he's cleared under his belt. So he cleared IPM, IIM Indore, IIM Rohtak, Christ University, Shiv Nadar University, Ashoka University, Kriya University, Symbiosis, NMIMS, and Azim Premji and Loyola College. So apart from these, wonderful list of achievements, Gokul, what else would you like to, tell us about yourself?
Right. So, hello everyone. I'm Gokul Krishna. I'm from Chennai, and I'm from the Commerce with Math background, as Vedika mentioned. Yeah, apart from the stuff that she's mentioned, which will be elaborated on forth from this interview, I'm a person who's intrigued in the field of economics and technology, and I like to be a jack of all trades rather than specializing in something. Yeah, that's pretty much what the gist of me is.
Uh, so my first question to you is, how did you prepare for IP Mat along with your board examinations? Like, how did you maintain that balance?
Yeah, so that is a good question that you asked there because a lot of people have, the problem of having a very hectic boards preparation as well as IPMAT preparation because IPMAT is one of the harder, exams to clear. So I personally balanced it by, having my board portions finished earlier on. By the time of December or so, when I had to go through the half yearly kind of examination. So at that point, I focused a lot on the NCRT syllabus. So I had to clear accounts, economics, and mathematics in that time, so that I could, have that board holidays section free for my IPMAT prep. Throughout the year, I did go to a coaching institute, but that wasn't of much help. I had to, rely on self prep because that's what matters most in this kind of examinations. Luckily, the board examinations got over, and there was the whole pandemic situation, and IPMAT went till September. So there was a lot of time for me to prepare in the middle. Before that, however, during the board holidays, I set up around a 1 month or 2 month timetable, which focused on quants for me because I found verbal ability to be my strength. So depending on what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are, I'd say balance your a timetable and get like a month of solid practice before your IPMR, at least, like the last few months. So I did that before boards, and I was planning to do it after boards as well. But the pandemic happened, so within that gap, I was more hell bent on taking all the other exams so that I can get some kind of experience of actually taking an examination. So yeah.
Did you have any particular strategy that you undertook while appearing for the exam? And also, can you elaborate on the importance of mocks in your preparation?
Right. So my strategy was more of mastering taking the test of IPMAT rather than focus on everything in subjects. So there are the syllabus is quite extensive if you go through for the IPMAT exam, and I'd say don't break your head trying to get every part of it to the 100% accuracy that you want to hit. So for me, I had my strengths in say probability or permutations and combinations and some parts of algebra. So those parts I first focused on getting it to maximum accuracy that I could, and that's where mocks come in because without having a mock, you can't really say how well you've prepared a subject. You might have the best subject knowledge, but on the spot, within that 30 seconds or 1 minute, you need to get that question done. So I'd say taking mocks after you finish say a significant portion of your syllabus or a part that your timetable has you've allocated for like say a week, and after that once you take a mock, you'll know whether you've prepped it properly or you could focus more on for accuracy or you could focus more on time. So yeah, mocks really help you in that regard. And the particular strategy that I was taking is that focusing on my strengths first and then covering bases with my weaknesses. So I didn't want any spot to be left in the upper high grounds or very low grounds. I wanted to either have it at top notch or in the middle. So that depends on person to person, but that's what I would suggest from my experience.
You had applied for a number of different universities. So was there anything extra or any other preparation that you did apart from selectively IPM 80 preparation?
Right. So ironically, my IPM80 preparation was the other university's entrance tests. So from the starting, from the mocks that I had gotten from certain coaching places. So the bundle that I got included all of NPAT, SET, and CUET, and all of those. So every now and then I'd prep, and then I'd take the IPM at mocks, and then I'd prep a bit more, and I'd take one of the other mocks as well, because to kind of spread ground. And I wasn't particularly 100% set on IPM as well. So once I wanted to like give everything a shot, have everything on my plate, and then decide where I want to go. So at that point of time, I was kind of focusing on taking as many different mocks as I can as well during the early times, and kind of applying to all of those universities, taking their examinations and following through with an admission. So that kind of gives you the confidence that you can crack IPMAT as well, because each admission you secure, or each actual exam that you give, and you get good marks, right? So that kind of boosts your confidence level, not only subject knowledge, but also your actual test taking skills to some extent.
Okay, so I want to ask you, like, I think this would have been a difficult question for you also, as to why you chose IPM over, all these other universities.
Yeah, so that was one of the difficult questions for me as well. I remember getting my result, and then during that time, I was enrolled in SNU's Shivnada's program for economics, and I spent until the last 1 hour of payment. Until then, I was deciding whether or not to jump ship. So the thing is, I'd say try to understand where you're coming from and what you really want to do in life. So I started out and I wanted to do economics, and I was hell bent on doing economics. But after going through a lot of syllabuses, and then talking to a lot of people in the field, and then doing your own research on what the curriculum is like, and whether you go through for 3 years, and then what are the prospects like that after 3 years? Do I want to get into academia, or do I want to go for a job? So you try to get those questions and answered. Once you get them answered, you can kind of shortlist a lot of things. So if you say that I want industry experience after 3 years, then economics might not be the best of suits. You would be better off with some other subject which has economics as a part of it, like a liberal arts curriculum from say Ashoka or Shiv Nadar has a lot of mixed curriculums, and that's where IPM as well was intriguing, because you have this kind of like I was a person who liked math a bit, I liked computer science a bit, I was intrigued by some humanity subjects. So having all those interests and fully focusing on economics is not something that I would have done either way. So that's why IPM kind of stood out, because you had those choices of having studying math for all of the foundational courses, statistics, computer science, and that whole array of subjects, while still guaranteeing that route through a premium B school, and having proper employment prospects as well as route for academia, is like kind of the whole shebang, or whatever you would call it.
I can completely relate to the part about, being intrigued by so many different subjects and disciplines. And I would like to ask you, a lot of aspirants, ask us that how many hours do you dedicate? And I personally am of the belief that you can't, put it down to a number of hours. So what is your opinion on that? Like, how would you, because now they have to schedule their preparation. So should they do it hour wise, or how do they manage it?
So I personally don't get the hour approach either. Ours are like, that's the same way you say I'll go to school for 7 hours and I'm going to study for all the 7 hours. That's not how it works, right? So I'd say, get like something that you want to done within a week. Get done within a week. So for example, I'd say I want to get done with algebra 1 and 2, and I want to get done with matrix determinants in this week. And then I dedicate my hours flexibly depending on how it goes. So, and during that week, I would not have any scheduled board preparations, because during that time, I want my, to be in the zone of an entrance exam. So during that week or two, I would, delve into what are the topics in that subtopics, and, all of those, get those covered types of questions. And then depending on how well I do in one topic, I'll transfer my hours to the other. So for example, I might have, underestimated that algebra would take me only say 10 to 15 hours, but it takes me 20. But on the other hand, matrix determinants might be done a bit earlier. So don't kind of make your schedule rigid. Make it flexible in the sense that you allocate a scheduled time period to certain subjects. And once you get those topics done within that week, or maybe extend it a bit, have that flexibility in mind and don't restrict yourself to hours per se.
Can you elaborate on your preparation specifically, because you secured a very good percentage for your commerce with math also. So what was your, approach towards that?
Right. So for the board exams, I think wholeheartedly NCRT is your Bible. Don't go away from NCRT for any subject except for maybe accounts, because accountancy NCRT is a bit too limited. You might want to stick to TS Grewal for that. As for BST, economics, and for economics, I'd recommend something like Sandeep Garg or Ori, or whichever your preference is, because the NCRT books are a bit dry. But for mathematics and business studies, I completely stuck with the NCRT textbooks. And if you want, I'd say like the problem solving difficulty would not cross your NCRT textbooks. That is a given. If you take up the past 10 CBSE papers, you might have probably one or two questions that have that, RD Sharma vibe or something. But most of the questions would be straight out of NCRT or something related to that. So if you solved NCRT problems throughout, you wouldn't have a problem with the problem solving part. The conceptual understanding, on the other hand, I'd recommend you to go on YouTube and stick yourself to Khan Academy or Three Blue One Brown or any other proper visualizable mathematics channels, so that you can get through that for both mathematics and economics, to be honest, because those are the subjects where you don't just read something, you want to visualize it or you want to see how it works in practice. So I'd say for problem solving, stick to NCRT, but for the theory behind it or the conceptual understanding, go beyond and what your school tells you to. And once you do that and you're thorough with your NCRT, I would say that 95% is guaranteed, or 90% at least, depends.
A lot of aspirants, thank you, Google, first of all, for elaborating on that. And a lot of aspirants have this, myth under their mind that only JEE students can clear IPM 80. And both of us are commerce with math students, and we're here. So I just wanted to reassure all of you all that do not be worried about that. And Gokul, can you give the aspirants like a final, push and your advice to them that you feel will help them to clear the exam in 2021?
Yeah, so I'd say don't worry about anything right now, because if you start worrying about it, you're only going to go through it twice. Put in your best, have your options wide open. Don't restrict yourself on only IPM Indo. I'm not going to go anywhere else. Don't do that. So have your options open. Learn a lot more about what are the opportunities in every field, and get yourself that grasp before you start making narrow decisions. So once you keep your mind broader and open, then you'll automatically lose that amount of stress, because you have a very wide field ahead of you, right? So you can run in any direction you want. So I'd say, keep your mind open, prepare your best, and give it a shot, and you'll end up wherever you deserve to be or you believe you want to be.
All right, thank you so much, Gokul. That was very insightful, and I'm really grateful that you came and provided, your experience and your advice to the future aspirants. So this was Uni Voyage and Vedika, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.